Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Today is Tuesday, December 14th. Thanks for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Unfortunately, we start with bad news out of Berea today. The Cleveland Browns have reported a lot of COVID-19 reserve list designations. 8 players, to be exact, placed on the COVID-19 reserve list. Those players include wide receiver Jarvis Landry, tight end Austin Hooper, offensive tackle Jedrick Wills Jr., and offensive guard Wyatt Teller, as well as defensive end Takarist McKinley and guard Drew Forbes. Also on the COVID-19 list from the practice squad are JoJo Natson and Ross Travis. Now, other reports have said that these are positive COVID-19 cases, and according to NFL rules, a vaccinated player can return from the COVID-19 list after returning 2 negative tests 24 hours apart. But if you are unvaccinated, that player has to remain on the COVID-19 list for at least 10 days after a positive COVID-19 test. Also, to add to this, tight end David Njoku, linebacker Anthony Walker Jr., and punter Jamie Gillen remain on the reserve COVID-19 list after they were placed on it last week. So, obviously, not the best case scenario going into this game on Saturday at First Energy Stadium at 4:30 p.m. against the Oakland Raiders. We will remain watching this and see what happens between now and then. Hopefully everyone's health is being taken care of. Obviously, that's of the utmost importance. And as long as everyone's health is well, hopefully we can get those negative COVID-19 tests back from those vaccinated players and hopefully see them on the field on Saturday against the Oakland Raiders. Again, wishing everyone good health during this time. Right now, the NFL is reporting a large number of COVID-19 cases. This is more than they've seen in quite some time this season. Now, talking about the COVID-19 numbers here in Ohio, Ohio will be adding a backlog of COVID-19 positive cases to the daily case counts. That'll be today, the 14th, tomorrow, the 15th, and on the 16th as well. That'll be over the next 3 days. So the 24-hour daily case counts will be artificially inflated today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So keep that in mind. The exact number will be reflected in a disclaimer on the dashboard each day, and it won't be finalized until all laboratory files are processed. Now, this backlog occurred because of a manual reporting error. This was at 2 laboratories. It includes almost 7,700 cases, and once they're fully processed, then these cases will be assigned to their appropriate illness onset date for the people who tested positive for the COVID-19 cases. The backlog includes cases from March 7th, 2021 through December 3rd, 2021. So we're looking at a wide span there of a time frame where these cases are coming from. Again, it's about 7,700 cases that will now be allocated over the next 3 days. The reporting issue that led to this backlog, by the way, we are told that has been resolved, so should not be an issue, this particular error moving forward. Now we're getting more information out of South Africa, which is where the world first became aware of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. Not necessarily where it originated, but where the world first became aware of it. And what we are learning from a study, potentially, is that the variant appears to be less severe in terms of the disease that it causes, and that also the Pfizer vaccine seems to offer less protection against infection, but good protection from hospitalization. This is according to an analysis of data from South Africa, where the infections are surging related to this COVID-19 Omicron variant. Now, these findings are preliminary. They have not been peer-reviewed. Peer-reviewed, of course, is the gold standard when it comes to scientific research, but they do line up with other early data about the behavior of the Omicron COVID-19 variant, that it does seem to be more easily transmitted. In South Africa, case numbers are rising, but hospitalizations are not increasing at the same rate. So this is what is leading the scientists to report that the risk of a hospitalization from the Omicron variant is lower than the risk from the Delta variant or earlier variants. Hospital admissions for adults diagnosed with COVID-19 are 29% lower compared to the wave that South Africa experienced in the middle of 2020. This is after adjusting for vaccination status. That's according to the analysis. So that's the latest information we have about how the Omicron COVID-19 variant is behaving in the world, specifically out of South Africa. Now we have a shocking update out of Twinsburg. Human remains that were found in 1982 have just been identified as belonging to Cleveland guitarist and songwriter for the OJs, Frankie Little Jr. He was from Cleveland. This is about 40 years ago. And now, finally, this mystery is solved. Police said today that the remains were found on February 18th, 1982, and they were identified belonging to Frankie Little Jr. of Cleveland. Police said that in the mid-1960s, he was a guitarist and songwriter for the band the OJs. So the way they determined this was through results of a genealogical research assignment from the DNA Doe Project. And they had provided names of potential living relatives back in October. So a close relative had submitted DNA to the project, and that's how they were able to match the DNA from these human remains that were recovered in 1982 and figure out that this was this former singer and songwriter for the OJs. Police say that his remains were found in a garbage bag behind a business that's now closed, but it used to be a business on Cannon Road. They said his manner of death has been ruled a homicide. No more details about that, though. No more details about his disappearance. He was raised in Cleveland, was born in 1943. Frankie Little Jr. served in the Army for 2 years. That included a deployment to Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and he had a daughter who passed away in 2012, and he has a son who has not yet been located or identified. If you're waiting for your big IRS paycheck because you're one of the people who was experiencing that because of the COVID-19 relief bill, you could get one more big paycheck on Wednesday. This is because tens of millions of Americans did sign up for that American Rescue Plan advanced monthly payment of the child tax credit. So that's what this is. This is the final 2021 advanced monthly payment of the child tax credit. That's going out tomorrow. Remember, when this past Congress went through in March 2021, the child tax credit increased to $3,600 for children ages 5 and under and $3,000 for children ages 6 to 17. And it would be available as advanced monthly installments. You wouldn't have to wait until you filed your taxes to get that money. So most eligible parents will get $300 for each qualifying child up to the age of 5 and $250 for children ages 6 to 17. There was an overpayment in September, so some people might get a slightly smaller check than those specific numbers. And also the income thresholds are set at, if you're an individual, $75,000 or less, those people will get these payments. If you are the head of household, $112,500 income or less. And if you're a married couple, $150,000 income or less. Most people were automatically enrolled and you had to opt out of it. However, there are some people who did need to opt in, particularly if your income was low enough that you don't pay taxes. You needed to opt in and register for those payments. Now here in Northeast Ohio, not yet, but quite soon, it will be the end of an era for St. Ignatius head football coach Chuck Kyle, who is the father of our 3 News Go morning anchor, Maureen Kyle. He will be retiring at the end of the 2022-23 season. So not this season, but next season, he'll be retiring at the end of that. That will be his 50th year as a teacher at St. Ignatius and his 40th year as head football coach. They call him Chico. He built St. Ignatius into one of the finest high school football programs in the nation. Under Chuck Kyle, the Wildcats have won 11 Ohio State Athletic Association state football championships and 4 national titles. And he's guided the track and field program to a pair of state championships. He will be passing the torch. We do know who that will be going to. St. Ignatius announced that Wildcats defensive coordinator Ryan Franzinger, he's currently the assistant principal for student discipline. He will become the associate head coach for the 2022 season, and then he'll be head coach in 2023 when Coach Kyle is no longer on the team. He will also start teaching theology in the St. Ignatius High School. That'll be starting next fall in 2022. So congratulations to be had there all around, and one more season for Coach Kyle at St. Ignatius. And if you are a Golden Girls fan, listen up to this. There is a convention that's coming to Chicago in 2022. They are taking over. It's called Golden Con. Thank you for being a fan convention. You know, the song, thank you for being a friend. I'm sorry that you had to listen to me sing-ish that. But yeah, that's where that line comes from. So this is happening in Chicago, April 22nd through the 24th. That's next year. Going to be a lot of fun there. There will be a greatest gift vendors market. So many good puns from the show. There will be a live parody show from the Hell in a Handbag Theater Company. The Chicago You've Got Style costume parade will be there, and there will be a weekend-long trivia battle. as well. Most of the events are happening at the Center on Halstead. Others will take place at a multi-level entertainment complex nearby at Sidetrack. The tickets are going on sale soon, not yet on sale yet, but keep your eye out for that and mark your calendar for April 22nd through 24th in Chicago. By the way, convention organizers do say that they are, quote, working diligently to get the wonderful, the lovely Betty White there in some capacity. You're not sure exactly what that will look like. She is, after all, the last remaining living Golden Girl. Whether she goes to that convention or not, please wrap Betty White in bubble wrap. We need to keep her around for as long as possible. That's it for your 3 News Now update today for Tuesday, December 14th. Hey, here's another reminder. Chef Michael Simon, our Northeast Ohio native, his new cookbook is out today and his new show premieres on the Food Network. I had him as a guest last week on my 3 Things to Know podcast, so check that out. Congratulations to Chef Simon. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today, and I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.